Hey guys, Wolf here. Welcome to another video, and in this video we're going to be talking about counter picks. And the way we are going to be talking about counter picks is we're going to be taking in consideration the 1v1 matchup more, and also some of the team fights or the pros and cons as well. And we're not going to be focusing too much about like the support counter matchups or the jungler counter matchups or anything like that. So it's going to be based more into a 1v1 scenario. The first god on the list is going to be Agni, and Agni, in my opinion, is good against Apwash, Anubis, Baron, Discordia, Freya, Hebo, Isis, Nua, Morrigan, Vulcan, and Zeus. The reason I believe he is good against all those gods is because Agni is a medium range god, right? So every single time a character is going to be trying to get close to you, you should be able to poke him out very easily and very efficiently as well. And once you have 3 bombs that cost no mana. You have your second and first ability that you can close your range. For example, if a target is like, you're going to be thinking about it, okay, so if I'm going to be using my 2 here, I'm not going to be able to hit him with my 2, but you can use your 2 to close the range for your 1. So let's say you're playing against let's say an Agni, right? Or not Agni, or an Apwash. So you're against an Apwash. Apwash is trying to close the distance to poke you out. You can just use your second and first ability to poke you out, which would be the Flame Wave and Noxious Fumes. You're going to like stun him. After stunning him, you can just do the Rainfire on him, which is ultimate. Drop at least 2 bombs on him, and then if he's trying to poke you out, you should be able to dash away. In team fights, it's the same case. If you need to like close the range and you need to stun someone so you can guarantee your damage from your ultimate, you can do the same thing. And I did note here gods such as Apwash, which they have. I mean, Apwash, Baron, Anubis, Hebo. You normally build lifesteal on those gods, or they have like some sort of like sustain or anything like that. Once Agni is going to get his anti-healing, you should be able to do very well against them and poke them very well, and I think that's going to be very efficient and it's going to be in your favor. Next god on the list, we have Apwash. So Apwash is a god, I feel like I don't feel like it explains it by itself. His ability, counters healing, is up to 3 stacks and it counters about 60% of your healing. His third ability is designed to damage healers if anybody is going to be getting healed. His second ability just detonates the corpses, which is a lot of damage anyways. And then his first ability is a 40% slow at max rank, and the slow duration is for 2 seconds. So the guys that I think Apwash should be doing well against, it would be mainly healers, but there are also some other gods that I feel like he would do well against. So that would be Aphrodite, Baron, Chang'e, Hades, Hel, Isis, Nua, Ra, Morrigan, Vulcan, Zeus, and potentially Zhonghui. So I listed a bunch of healers, and the reason I listed a bunch of healers is for the simple fact that his kit is designed to counter healers no matter what. Although I did list there gods such as Vulcan or Zeus, for example, which again, that matchup could be a 50-50. There are situations where you're going to be getting the better off of it, or the enemy is going to be getting the better off of it, right? But to get a 100% matchup in your favor, I definitely think you can pick Apwash into any other healer. Potentially Zhonghui, I did mention that. The reason I said potentially Zhonghui is because you have one way to counter him, which is putting your 3 on him before he's going to heal, right? But the trouble is that like if you're not going to be bursting him fast enough, or if he's going to engage on you and yet again you're not going to be bursting him fast enough, he would have the ability to burst you fast enough to, and you're going to die in that case, and he is going to be getting the better of a matchup. So again, there are situations where you can counter him, such as his healing, for example, but there are also some situations where he is going to be bodying you because he's just going to run at you. He's going to be a fat, aggressive man, and he's just going to kill you. The next god on the list that I have is going to be Discordia. Oh yeah, one more thing before we're going to be getting into Discordia. I didn't list every single god, and because I didn't list every single god is because I feel like there are some gods that they are unpopular and people don't really play them that much. So I didn't really want to like go from A to Z. So we're just going to be going on to the gods that I've got the most questions about. So the next god on the list is going to be Discordia. Discordia is a fairly safe mage. Her ultimate in team fights is incredible, as long as like people are going to be grouping on top of each other, especially the fact that it spreads. Then you have like the third ability, which I think is the key ability why she's going to be so good against most gods that I'm going to list here. Her strife again is really good. It's either a root or a taunt. And again, that is going to be insane as long as you can hit it on 2 or more people. It should be very easy to hit it in team fights, and her one ability is her clear ability, and everybody knows you can either clear the minions with that or you can poke the enemy god with it. So with Discordia, I think the gods that she's going to do well against would be Apwash, Baron, Hera, Isis, Nua, Poseidon, Ra, Scylla, Morrigan, Toph, Vulcan, and Zeus. The main reasons I put so many gods here, there might be questions about like, oh yeah, but this god might be doing well against her in this scenario, and this god might be doing well against her in this scenario. So mainly I focused about her safetiness. So her safetiness comes first. And every single time a Poseidon is going to crack on you, or a Ra is going to ult you, or a Scylla as well, or a Toph, Vulcan, Zeus, and so on, you should be able to jump away from their ultimates, and then when it comes down to poking and such, you should be able to getting the better of it because you have the ability to dodge their poke. In team fights, again, you should be able to be more safe than they are, and you're going to be able to burst them a little bit quicker than they should be able to burst you, depending on the situation. So I would say that would be the main reason. I don't want to list too many things. It's basically her jump makes her so strong against so many of these gods. And again, you would normally play her around the team. And it's kind of contradicting itself because I did say the 1v1 scenarios, but it's also the team fight point where it comes into play. Right. Since we got that out of the way, the next god is going to be Freya. Freya is quite the tricky one. I mean, she's been meta for... well, since she's got reworked, and she's been really strong. You don't really have any downsides with Freya. Her clear level 1 is insane, her poke is insane, the banish is a really good CC, and then if she's in trouble, she can just simply ult away. So I didn't really list any gods that she is good against, because she's good against everything against her because of the way her kit is designed. I mean, she doesn't really have like that long range, but if she wants to get close to you, she was definitely going to find ways to get close to you no matter what. And if you're going to be trying to take trades against her, most of the time you're going to lose them. I did put Agni being good against Freya, however, but again, it would make sense to say that Agni could be one of your counter matchups, but you should be able, it's a 50-50 matchup, and you should be able to be getting the better of it regardless as Freya. Next god on the list is going to be, let's see what do we have here. The next god is going to be Hera. We're going to be skipping through Hades and Hebo and Hell because they are not that popular, unfortunately, and not that many people are picking them. However, Hera is quite new to the scene at the moment. So the gods that I think Hera does well against would be Agni, Apwash, Isis, Nua, Poseidon, Ra, Raging, Scylla, Morrigan, Vulcan, and Zeus. The reasoning being is one of her biggest matchups would be against Nua, just for the simple fact that she has the shield. She can avoid her ultimate, so Nua's ultimate is completely useless. So just in case, before we're going into anything, if you guys want to counter against Nua, because Nua is very popular, well, there you go. You have Hera doing very well against Nua at all times. I think her Argus is absolutely OP. Once you drop this ability, like at max level, it has like 3500 health. The protections are up there. The movement speed is up there as well. It drops, you deal about like 300 plus 55 of magical power when you drop Argus, and then the Argus is going to be following you regardless of the situation. So I believe Hera should be able to do well into every single one of those gods. And excuse me, and her polymorph is insane. I think the fact that you hit someone to polymorph and you slow them for 20%, and then like you have a 2-second slow as well, is insane, because you can set up for your Argus, you can set up for your 1 as well. You can use your third ability in order with Argus to deal more damage and be a little bit faster, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Argus speed 50% more. So yeah, I think there are a lot of ways. I think she's quite new to the scene. We don't really know everything about Hera, unfortunately, but she should be able to do well against most characters out there, just for the simple fact that she is very powerful at the moment. Or above average, not necessarily very powerful. The next god on the list is not going to be Isis, unfortunately, because I don't think there are many Isis enthusiasts. I don't see Isis being picked as much either, so I'm going to move on to Janus. Janus is one of the most safe gods. I don't think Janus has necessarily a good a proper good matchup into anybody. I think his matchup are spread all across the board very equally as well, because Janus as a god is just a farmer, right? So I would say this time I'm going to put his weakness. I know I've been talking about the god and what he is good against, but this time we're going to say his weakness, as he doesn't have as he has only one big weakness. His weakness are cripples, and the gods that do well into Janus would be Poseidon, because he has a cripple, Nox, because he has a cripple, and Scylla, because he has a cripple, or she has a cripple technically. So trouble with them is the fact that you will need to beads most of the time. You're going to be getting hit by the cripple because you will want to go through your portals. But apart from that, he doesn't necessarily have a bad matchup. You will most of the time farm, and then you're going to like hit a snipe off of the sides or play utility mage. So yeah, there are not many matchups that are going to do that you're going to do incredibly well or incredibly badly against. So yeah, I would say keep in mind it's only the cripples that you need to take care of. But apart from that, he is a very good god all across the board. He is a very fast farmer as well. Next god on the list, I would say, is going to be Kukulkan. I know Kukulkan is being played more than Isis. It's very surprising, but yes, Kukulkan. So Kukulkan's gods that he would do well against would be Apwash, Anubis, Baron, to a certain extent, Nua, potentially Raging as well, Scylla, and Zeus. The reason I listed most of those gods because Kukulkan as a god is very tricky, and the reason I'm saying it's very tricky is because he has a very good first ability. Like his first ability, as I said before, it DRs itself in terms of slow because it's so powerful. His second ability is his escape. His third ability is his clear as well. But his ultimate is kind of a gamble because without setup, he is going to be in a lot of trouble to hit his ultimate. So the reason I listed those gods here is because the way you're going to look at it is Apwash has very little mobility, Anubis has very little mobility, Baron as well to a certain extent, that's why I said Nua as well, Raging is a sitting duck in his ultimate, Scylla as well, and Zeus is already slowed. So if you are going to be picking Kukulkan into any of those gods, you're going to realize that you're going to be having an advantage just because once you're going to be so they are going to be being slow by default, and also you're going to be slowing them even further with your Zephyr and make an easy target. They will make an easy target to hit your ultimate without setup. Although I would highly recommend people to be hitting their ultimates on setup every time, as it's going to be a guaranteed ultimate hit. Next god on the list is going to be Nua, and Nua is kind of like a crowd favor. I'm really surprised that Nua is this popular. However, I don't necessarily have a good matchup for Nua, just because again Nua is in kind of the same situation as Janus. Nua is kind of a farmer. She doesn't necessarily have like incredible good matchups. Her early game is kind of like in between as well, and then she excels very well going into mid/late game because of her power is going to be a lot higher, and then she's going to be hitting with her ultimate a lot harder. So I would say in terms of counter matchups, there are not many, unfortunately. And there might be some, but I didn't list any, and I wanted to like point out that is the same thing as Janus. She does have like a couple of weaknesses, but then again, as long as you're going to be staying yourself safe and you're going to get your farm and hit the mid game, then you should be able to be doing well against most characters out there. Next god on the list is going to be Poseidon. So the big thing about Poseidon, again, he does well into many gods, and those gods, this god would be Agni, Posh, Nubis, Isis, Janus, Ra, Raging, Scylla, Morrigan, Thoth, Vulcan, Zeus. The reason I listed all of them is because some of them might need with some of them you are going to be able to like slow them down, some of them you're going to be bursting them right away, some of them you're going to be breaking their stealth, such as Morrigan and such, and some guys just simply force you to stack up on top of each other. So with that said, there's going to be very easy for you to get multiple target or hit multiple targets at the time. So Poseidon is a god. Again, he is a very fast farmer just because of his ability of farming very quickly. He has a max rank at 30% bonus move here from his 2. His second ability is very good for clearing as well. He has the Whirlpool, which the Whirlpool synergizes very well with Gem of 5. So if you guys buy it, which is going to be giving you a quality of life change there. Once you're going to be buying that, you're going to be able to deal more damage to enemies as well. Kraken is a very powerful tool where you can use it as well. So is Tidal Surge, because it's a knockback technically. So with that said, as a god, he's very fast, very easy to farm with as well, as I said, with Janus and Nua. Well, more with Janus than the Nua though. And he does counter a lot of gods that they need to be mobile, or that they need to use their dashes. On to the next god would be Ra. And Ra doesn't necessarily have that many good matchups. Ra is quite of farm bot type of thing. And his good matchups would be Anubis, Nua, Ragin, Scylla, Morrigan, and Zeus. But with Zeus is kind of like good. It's kind of like a 50-50. Trouble is with Anubis, he's the sitting duck when he's when he's using his ultimate. Nua, you can heal yourself after she's going to use her ultimate, so you're going to be having some type of healing, or rather sustain against her. Ragin and Scylla are sitting ducks in their ultimate, so you should be able to cast your ultimate and your one very easily on them. Morrigan, you can break her stealth quite easily. You should be able to get close to her, damage her more, and by the time she's going to transform, you should be able to punish her. And with Zeus, the only reason I said it's a 50-50 is because Zeus has the ability of poking you out very easily, of killing you as well. And if you get to team fights, Zeus is going to be able to, once you're going to try to sustain your teammates or like put a heal on them, Zeus is going to be able to drop his ultimate and his entire kit on your heal and potentially kill everybody. So you really need to be careful around them, but at the same time you do need to realize that you have an upper hand and you know where you need to abuse it. So with Ra, again, keep your range, look for a setup. Once someone is going to set up for you, try to follow up off of that setup. Try to heal as much as possible. Don't put your heal too far away from your teammates, or too far into the team fight, as it could be very dangerous. And that kind of it about Ra. Next one on the list, we got Ragin. Ragin is another popular god, surprisingly enough. He does well into Posh, Anubis, Baron, Discordia, Isis, Nua, Ra, Scylla, Morrigan, Vulcan, and Zeus. So big thing with Ragin is like his early game is not brilliant, as you could potentially struggle with clearing the minions or clearing the buffs early game because your damage is not going to be brilliant. However, he does have a safetyness, and his safetyness is Thunder Crush, which would be his dash. His ultimate does a lot of damage. Although he's a sitting duck, he does get to the point of dealing a lot of damage. And again, his Raiju plus his first ability, which is Percussive Storm, could be dealing a lot of damage if used correctly as well. So against most of those gods, the reason I'm saying that he is going to do well against is because especially like Morrigan, for example, or Discordia or anything like that, if you put your second ability on Discordia or Morrigan and they use their stealth or dash, you can still see what exactly they are on the map and what exactly they are in front of you, so you can still use your dash, your one on them, your ultimate, and such. As apart from that, the Discordia, Anubis, Baron, Zeus, Vulcan, Ra, and Nua are kind of immobile. Scylla, again, Scylla is I believe that in a matchup Raging against Scylla, I think Scylla should be having a tougher time. However, Scylla does have some ways of countering the Raging, because she can dash away, she can use her first and second combo on her, and or first and second ability combo on him, and potentially get the better of it. So with Scylla, it would be a 50-50, but again, Raging should be doing well against the gods. Next god on the list is going to be Scylla. Talking about her, so with Scylla is going to be Agni. I think Agni is a 50-50 matchup. She does well into him, but also Agni does well into Scylla. Aposh, Anubis, Baron, Discordia, Hera, Isis, Janus, Nua, Poseidon. It's again a 50-50. It's an iffy matchup. Ra, Ragin, Morrigan, Vulcan, and Zeus. And Ragin is the same thing as I said before. Could be a 50-50. It just depends how you're going to approach the matchup. So the reason Scylla is so good against all those gods is because she has the dash, first of all, so she can easily dash away from danger, which is really good. She can also dash over the wall again from danger. She can use her crush over the wall. Unfortunately, her root doesn't go over the wall because that would be a bit insane. But her ability to poke people out is incredible. Her first ability does a lot of damage, and I would very much recommend you guys, if you're playing Scylla, to try to hit your first ability before hitting your second ability. If you're not comfortable hitting your first ability, then just go ahead and use your second ability on the target. But with that said, I mean, her ultimate, my only concern with Scylla is her kit, first, second, and third ability is absolutely insane. Her ultimate, however, every single time you're going to like look to ult someone, I feel like people that they are going to play the matchups very smartly are going to be turning on you as you're a sitting guy. So you just need to be a little bit careful with your ultimate. But Scylla, all in all, should be able to be winning all those matchups as long as you're going to be playing accordingly to the matchup. Next one on the list is going to be Toph, and to be quite honest with you guys, Toph should be able to be winning every single matchup. So in terms of matchups, Toph literally wins everything as long as he's be careful and as long as he is getting through the early game. So the trouble with Toph is that his range is so obnoxious that it gets to the point of like early game is the only way where you can actually punish him, and if he gets away from the early game, then he should be able to do well against every single god, just because he's going to outrange you, outpoke you, and just outdo everything you're going to do. Obviously, he's not going to like heal people because that would be absolutely insane. But the thing is going to be that Glyph of Pain is a very powerful tool to his kit. And as I said, once you get out of the early game, you should be able to be winning every single matchup and trade. So that would be my only concern. If you are a Toph player, well, you're in for a treat, boys. You are in for a treat. The next god on the list is going to be Vulcan. So yeah, we didn't talk about Morgan because I don't think there are too many Morgan enthusiasts, and Morgan does get countered about like a lot of things, like mainly dots. But yeah, we're going to be talking about that in another video. So Vulcan is the next one on the list. However, Vulcan has a lot of damage and a lot of ways to put damage out there. So Vulcan would do well into Aposh, Anubis, Baron, Isis, Kukulkan, Nua, Ra, Raging, Scylla, and Zeus. So the reason he would do well into all those gods, however, there might be other gods that I didn't list that they would do pretty poorly into Vulcan, or Vulcan would do really well into them, but would also have a counter matchup for the Vulcan. Is because Vulcan as a god has a lot of damage, and Vulcan's ultimate is a bit tricky unless you have a setup. So Vulcan into Aposh and Vulcan into Anubis, I would say does really well because Aposh and Anubis are very slow. You should be able to catch them out of position, should be able to damage them. Same thing with Baron, Ra, Zeus as well. Kukulkan to a certain extent. Isis kind of in the same boat. It's very easy for a Vulcan to just drop a meatball and first ability in there. If Isis is going to be grouping out, or rather if Isis is going to try to ult or Scylla, and they are going to group up on top of each other, again, very easily, or it's very easy to use your ultimate on those gods and then just punish them because of it. And that would be it. Vulcan is a true mage, is literally does so much damage, and you just need to be careful when you're going to be using your damage, otherwise you could be getting punished as well. Apart from that, the next one on the list is going to be Zeus. Zeus is played quite a bit. Trouble with Zeus is that he is good into everything and nothing at the same time. That's exactly what I put in my notes. He's good into everything and nothing at the same time. And the reason I'm saying that is because trouble with him is very team dependent, right? So it's not like plug in and play, you're going to pick Zeus and you're just going to demolish everyone, because that's not really the case. He's very mobile, very easy to catch him out of position, very easy to punish. There are a lot of mages that in a 1v1 scenario that could be punishing Zeus, but there is also a lot of mages that could be getting punished by Zeus just because of the simple fact that he has so much damage. So with the Zeus, I would say most of the time what you're looking to do is to combo with other teammates. You need to be staying as safe as possible, and then again at every single stage of the game you just need to have your team having your back, because you might be in trouble if the jungler is going to go on you again or anything like that when it will come down to team fight. The matchup in a 1v1, you should be able to win the matchups, but again they are in a 50-50 scenario, man. Because you have, like, again, raw damage. It's the same way with Vulcan, but you're even, like, you're worse than Vulcan in terms of mobility, because Vulcan at least has some sort of mobility. However, Zeus has only damage. So you just need to take that in consideration. Next guy on the list is going to be Zhonger. I didn't really want to put Zhong in here, but I've seen Zhong being played in the mid lane quite a bit, and the reason I'm going to put him in here is because I believe he does very well against targets that are very immobile. So targets that are very immobile would be gods such as Ra, Pos, Noah. I'm not going to list all of them though, because there are quite a few guys that are very mobile. But yes, everything that doesn't necessarily have a dash and run away from you very quickly, you should be able to do well against them, because you have you have sustain with your first and second ability. Second one, you have a stun, so once you use your first ability and third ability, you should be able to stun them for quite a bit. And then your ultimate is going to be your tool that you're going to be dealing damage with, and you're going to be picking up targets that are very immobile, which I mentioned here. However, again, you need to be very careful, because you want your passive to be up at all times, or rather stacked up at all times, as it gives you quite a bit of protections. With that said, I kind of wanted to like finish this here. I'm sorry if I didn't go through your favorite gods, guys, but I wanted to kind of have like a idea of or rather get my ideas out there about like what does well into what, because in reality, at the end of the day, it's not necessarily a god that does super well into, like, let's say X god does super well into Y god. Is also the way you're going to play the matchup, because there are certain abilities that do well into other, but let's say there is like for example, a whole kit which, let's say, I don't know, it's just an example. Let's say first and second ability on Morrigan does well into Scylla's third ability, but Scylla's first and second ability does well into Morrigan's whatever, or like third ability, because you prevent her from it. So it's like, let's say, my point that I'm trying to make is that don't expect every single matchup to go your way. For example, even a straight up winnable matchups, such as, let's say, Agni into Morrigan, because you would be like, okay, so with Agni I have dots, and I'm going to be able to keep the Morrigan out of stealth at all times and poke her out, but the Morrigan is going to be winning the matchup because something wrong went down in the early game, and you can't really recover from it. So yeah, it's just like a brief idea of like what you need to like be careful against, and what you can potentially do well against. But again, keep in mind that you still need to play the matchup well for that to work. So there is that. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I don't know how much information got through, so you guys can get a better understanding of the matchup as well. If you guys want or rather, if you have any questions, just drop them in the comments below. Let me know about it. We can discuss them in the comments. Let me know if you agree with something, disagree, or something that needed to be added, because we can just always discuss them in comments. So with that said, thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, and all that stuff that is happening on YouTube. I very much appreciate every single one of you. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you with another video. Bye bye.